you see on dead fishes in Bonny, to be precise. What's your take?
Okay, sometime in April, mid-April, we got wind of the information that dead fishes were washing up the shores around Bonny, and people were expressing concern. So we set out to check what could have happened, and then that took us to the Finima axis of Bonny. Finima is one of the many communities that make up Bonny local government area. So we went to the fishing settlements that border the Atlantic shoreline. Communities, fishing settlements like Amariari, Jalamonia, Lighthouse. Went to Ipu village, went to Gaja, went to Misu 1 and 2, went all the way to Ifoko. We spoke with the fishermen, we spoke with the people living around those areas. We took pictures of the fishes that washed up the shore and pictures of the people who also harvesting these fishes. And then we also took a boat ride out to the high sea, where we also witnessed the fishes, popping up on the surface of the water, gasping for air, and somehow you just see them after struggling for some time, they die, and all of that. Now that formed a report which we published, which went viral globally, and a lot of interest have been elicited since then, trying to know what could have happened. For us that went to do the investigation, we also sampled the opinion of people we met both in those areas, and then we also spoke to some experts, and we took samples of the fishes, of the water, the soil, all of that, to send them to labs, outside Bonny, Port Harcourt. There are no labs to handle such issues, in Bonny here. So we send them. Well, the experts are saying they will send us the reports of their findings and all of that. We're still waiting for that. But in the interim, we think that it may be due to environmental challenges, because fishes don't just pop up dead. And in this particular case, only one particular species of fish has so far been seen to be affected, which is the fish we call brook marriage. In my local language here in Bonny, the Bani language, it is called Anna. Some people call it Anna, some people call it Anna, and in English it's called the croaker fish. Now there are different species of it, but we find that the particular species that has this silvery color, that's the particular one that's affected. So having seen enough reason to think it is due to environmental issues, we are yet to pinpoint what those or that environmental issue is, which is still part of the investigations we are still carrying on. We're not letting up until we get to the root of the matter. And this is important we state this. The motivating factor behind this is that the marine environment, is an environment that affects everybody. The water, whether it's salt water or fresh water, whatever kind of water, everybody, either you swim or you eat the products from there, the fishes, the other seafood, and all of that. Now, it is something that affects everybody. So it is also important that everybody comes to the table and join hands to find what could be the problem. So if you ask what's my take on this, my take is that the environment is challenged, and it is the indicator of this. That is what we're experiencing as fishes washing up the shore, dead. We think that's the indicator that the environment is challenged. What do I think should be the way to go? the way to go is all environmentalists, all oil and gas operators, the government, civil society, everybody needs to join hands to get to the root of this matter and be able to find a closure to it in such a way that such a solution, such closure is done in a sustainable way so that this doesn't happen again. And another factor is that the particular fish that is affected, has the highest consumption rate around the Niger Delta region of Nigeria. The croaker fish is eaten by every tribe, whether it's the Laje, whether it's the Jaw, whether the Shekiri, whether the Robo, the Efik, the Anang, the Andones, the Queries. Every part of the Niger Delta, fits on this particular species of fish. So that makes it more of a public health issue. So everybody needs to focus on what is the problem and be able to join hands to find the solution to it.
Yeah, you sound very, very okay. But when you talked about a lot of things, how was it discovered?
Okay, we don't know, as at now, we don't know when and where it started. But if you ask me, in this locality, we started experiencing that from the second week of April. Now, that was when actually it became a public issue. But in the course of our investigation, we also found out that the first instances happened in the last week of March. And for places like Ondo State, Delta State, Bayelsa State, they started experiencing it from the later part of February down until the ending of the last week of March, when we in Rivers State started experiencing it. Now, people from Akwa Ibom are also saying it started happening there.
Is the local government council aware of this incident of dead fishes in Finima and some areas of Bonny?
Okay, I think for that one, I think I will say in the affirmative, because already the local government chairman is social media savvy, and is also a social person, so he got wind of it from people talking about it. And then when we, it's on the field, in reaction to that, I think there was this discussion between him and the Amainabo of Bonny, and then they came up with a strategic action plan which gets what are the issues. And incidentally, I happen to be one of the members of that committee, and I can tell you, we've started working. We had our first meeting, and then the next thing we want to do now, we're collating the reports of various from different sources who have experienced this. We want to study them, and then want to also do an on-site visit again around the affected areas, like the impacted communities and settlements I told you about. So we are there. So the local government chairman is aware, the Amainabo of Bonny is aware, the security agencies, the multinationals around here, and several other stakeholders are aware. And this has also been brought to the notice of the River State government through the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Agriculture. So we are actually envisaging a broad-based, multi-stakeholder approach to it.
Have the council or any agency visited the affected fishing ports?
Well, I can't say if the local government chairman or any of his aides or any of the officials of the local government chairman has visited the impacted areas. I can't say that. I don't work with the local government, but I can say that those of us who have been around the impacted areas have also briefed the chairman, both verbally and in writing, and I think that formed the crux of the decision that led to the setting up of the committee. So in that sense, I wouldn't deem it necessary for the chairman to. When we went around, we talked with the fishermen, we talked with the people buying the fishes, and they say yes, when this started, they were harvesting them in large numbers. They were loading their canoes with it, loading several baskets with it, and then they were consuming it, and then they had to smoke them and then send them out to the markets for sales and all of that. And when we advised that since it wasn't clear what could have led to the curious circumstantial death of these fishes, it would be wise to avoid consuming them. They were actually not taking that serious. They felt this was palliative from heaven, the way they put it, that God has sent them palliatives, in the midst of the COVID-19 situation they were grappling with.
Is it really safe? Did you ask them if it was safe for consumption, actually?
Yeah, we asked them, and to them, they said since they've been consuming it, nobody has experienced any form of ill health or health challenge, as the case may be. So they don't see anything wrong with it. And actually, somehow, if you also look at it from that perspective, this is almost 2 months now since this started happening. But nobody has complained of stomach ache or fever or headache or anything related to the consumption of this fish. So in a way, we are also hoping that maybe, who knows, maybe there may be nothing actually wrong with the fish. So, but we are not also leaving anything to chance. We want to get to the root of it to find out if actually there is a problem on our hands.
So you talked about sample tests, fish, water samples we are taking for testing.
Yes.
Who is funding the test running of these dead fishes to really ascertain what really happened?
Okay, for collation of the samples and investigation, we did that on our own. But when these samples were taken to Port Harcourt, we sent to private labs, professionals who volunteered to run the test for us. But the government also took some of the samples which they have sent to their own certified or approved labs, or will I say labs of their choice. For that, I think ordinarily now we should expect that they will fund that. But on our own side, we are doing our own pro bono.
Okay, you said a committee was formed,
yes,
and they've held their first meeting. What is the duration given for the test result to be out? Was there any?
Okay, the test result has nothing to do with the committee actually. Okay. Because the committee has not actually gotten its own sample to send out. But by mandate of the committee, which is incidentally headed by the secretary of the Bonny Environmental Committee, which is Sir Amahat. He is the chairman of the committee. They just started work, and we intend to go get our own independent samples of both the fishes and other elements, and then send them out for testing, so that we'll compare our own results with the results from other people, and then compare notes, so that we'll be able to get to the root of the matter. So in terms of duration, the committee will serve until it has made its findings, made available its recommendations, its findings and recommendations to the local government chairman who set it up. So I think at that point we will know whether the chairman will be satisfied, or he will extend the tenure and maybe expand the scope of the mandate given to the committee. But for now, we can't say specifically what is the duration of the committee.
What is government plan and strategy to address the issue of these dead fishes in Bonny?
When you say government plan, I'm not a government official. I'm a private individual, so how will I know what the government is planning?
What effort have been made by the council in sensitizing the people about the trend of dead fishes in the shores of Bonny and
Okay, in terms of sensitization, I think that's part of the mandate of the committee to make sure the available, the necessary information is put out in the public space. But when you also juxtapose it with the reality on ground, apart from what our independent findings were, apart from what civil society, government agencies and other interested stakeholders have been able to find, the committee does not have its own evidence, its own findings. So it becomes a challenge what to put out in the public space. But generally, there has been an advice to everybody that the consumption of the croaker fish should be suspended forthwith, and the security agencies will also appeal to help confiscate and destroy any any samples of the croaker fish, whether smoked or fresh or whatever. No arrests were to be made. You just get them, impound them and destroy them, so that people don't get to consume what may eventually affect them. Now, as much as the test results were not out, but ab initio, we discovered that these fishes, there were certain things that were inexplicable about them. For example, fishes rot from the head, but in this case, these affected fishes were rotting from the tail. And then secondly, when it begins to rot, you find that the fish begins to turn green in color, which is unusual. Then also on the body of the fishes, you notice some boil-like, lesion-like kind of swelling, on the body, on the side. And for some of the fishermen who talked with us, they say when you pierce that swelling, what comes out, is like pus. So and then they also showed us samples of the ones that were dried. When ordinarily when you dry a fish, it becomes hardened, it becomes more solid. But in this case, as you poke a needle at it, it will be doing like a download, like a foam, which is unusual. Ordinarily, even the fresh one is not supposed to do like that. But now you see a dried one, you are touching it, it's feeling like foam that you are pressing. Now that's unusual. So when you put all of these observations together, obviously something is fundamentally wrong with those fishes, even though we don't know what they are. So that's the plank upon which we are saying nobody should consume the croaker fish for now until we know what is wrong with it.
Do you sense if there's any foul play by the multinationals dumping chemical waste in the shores?
Well, speculations have been going in that direction, actually. But we can't say for sure. For me, as a journalist, I have to go with what is verifiable. So I can't go with speculations, but people have insinuated that maybe the chemicals that the companies are using in their offshore deep sea facilities, maybe their rigs, maybe their offshore platforms, maybe their underwater pipelines and all of that. In fact, some people even insinuated that there may be a gas leak somewhere around the pipelines underwater, in the high seas, all of that. But then they are all speculations. We don't know what is killing the fishes yet. I have not been able to pinpoint what actually is the problem. Well, incidentally, unfortunately, the multinationals are also part of the process. Like this, our committee that the Bonny local government chairman set up, all the multinationals in Bonny, Shell, Mobi, NLNG, they are all involved. Their representatives are part of the committee, as a way of unraveling what the issues are and also providing a solution to it. So we cannot actually say for now whether the multinationals are culpable or they are innocent. We cannot say until we know what actually went wrong.
Okay, to the general view, what's your observation, or how do you advise people? Because with the look of things, I don't think there's a sensitization going on in the affected fishing ports.
Actually, sensitization went on around that period, the month of April. But at least for Finima community in particular, they sent out their youths who went from fishing settlement to fishing settlement with public address system, telling the people that they should not consume that particular fish. And then we also put out the information on social media to draw the attention of people to it. Now, what are we saying to the general public? We're saying fishes don't just die on their own. Even when fishermen go to fish, when they go out there to the high sea and they see fishes that are already dead, they don't harvest them under normal circumstances. They want to catch the fishes alive and then let the fishes die in their own net. But in this case where you are finding fishes popping up, not one, not 100, not, in fact we are estimating that over 10 million fishes have died in the course of this debacle we are trying to understand. And now that doesn't look normal at all. And then the observations about what the fishes look like and how they die and all of that also doesn't look normal. Now, so when you look at all of that, it doesn't make any sense that you just consume what you don't know how it's got bad. So we are saying that given this situation, people should just avoid it. It's just for this period. If after the test results are back and it is discovered that nothing happens to these fishes, fine, everybody we can just move on with our lives. But where something is wrong, we don't want people to turn up dead maybe a month later or whatever and all of that. So that's what we're advising everybody for the time being. Keep away from the croaker fish, the marriage fish.
All right, thank you. That will be all.